Vikir and Ayin were surprised to see that Aquila had arrived after saving their asses. She explains to them that she came here because she had sensed a powerful aura. As her hand was covered in blood, she was glad that she had come. Even the old man was surprised to see her here as he hides behind Adonai. Ayin quickly tells her mother about the poison from Adonai's arrow, telling her that she needed to treat herself right away, but Aquila simply stares at her hand, covered in a black substance, while thinking about the poison. Like an absolute boss, she simply flexes her arm, causing mini explosions to travel through it as blood spilled everywhere. Vikir was watching her with a stunned face, wondering if she had exploded the aura inside of her to expel the poison and deceased blood. He couldn't believe that there was someone who would do such a thing. After cleansing the poison from her blood, Aquila's eyes looked forward, staring at Auman before calling his name, which sent shivers down his spine. He started to blame her for all of this happening, telling Aquila that it was all her fault for pushing him into a corner, but she simply tells him that she didn't care about his betrayal, and just wanted him to answer one thing. She looks at Adonai, asking Auman if this purple zombie-like man is actually the divine archer, Sir Adonai. Auman was happy to tell her that he is the legendary Adonai, someone whom she couldn't dare to fight against. But his words had no effect as Aquila smiles after hearing his answer. She then tells Vikir and Ayin that they had done a good job and to stay behind. She calls out to the divine archer, Sir Adonai, telling him with a smile on her face that it was an honor to meet him, even though it had to be this way. Aquila wanted to see who was the best warrior between them. The winds continued to blow heavily as the two strongest archers in history faced off against one another. They simply stared at one another. Before Aquila made the first move, she immediately leapt to his side, preparing to fire 5 arrows directly at him all at once. The moment she fired, her arrows turned into a blue light covered by her aura, but Adonai ain't weak. He simply sidesteps her arrows, dodging them by inches before pulling back his own bow and unleashing his powerful poisonous arrow right back at her. She sees this coming and does a handstand to dodge his attack. The moment she landed on her feet, Aquila drew her next arrow, and so did Adonai. A mixture of blue and purple arrow attacks rained throughout the forest, followed by explosions as they continued to battle it out against one another. A pair of feet came to a stop. It turns out to be Vikir, who was carrying Ayin. He turns around, knowing that this is a fight between those who possess master-grade aura, which was a rare sight during the time of the fall, while Ayin was concerned about her mother. Using Gaara's move, Auman covers one of his eyes with his fingers, summoning a purple eye on top of a tree branch. He was using it to watch the battle and could see that going against Sir Adonai was no easy feat, even for Aquila. But his face was filled with joy, as he believes that she could never defeat Sir Adonai, as he was dead and could infinitely use Hell's dimensional aura. But as he asks Aquila about whether she knew about the strength of a boundless arrow, she was thinking that she would be at a disadvantage in a range fight as a wound appears on her shoulder. She continues to monitor the situation, seeing that he had speed, power and mobility. Adonai was a perfect archer with no flaws. But as she drew another arrow, she knew that he lacked something very important. As both of their arrows were sent flying at the same time, they met each other head-on, causing a massive explosion in the middle of the forest, resulting in smoke covering the entire land. Aquila appears from within the smoke, trying to land a kick onto Adonai's face, but he simply tilts his head to dodge. Before summoning a sword made out of his poisonous aura, he takes a single swing at her, cutting all the trees that were around them but still missed. Aquila wasted no time at all as she grabbed onto her own sword, throwing it at Adonai and managing to knock his sword out of his hand. Her attack doesn't end there as she kicks him hard at his knee, causing him to fall back slightly before a bright blue light is reflected in his eyes. Aquila had drawn her bow, aiming right at his face, this time at point-blank range. She unleashes a devastating aura-filled arrow attack. That was powerful enough to send shockwaves into the skies. She backs away instantly after ending her attack. She looks at Adonai with a serious face as pieces of him start to break away. As he slowly starts to fade, just like everyone in Avengers Infinity War after Thanos snaps his fingers, Aquila asks him if the reason he didn't want to fight was because he was dead or if it was because of his desire to not hurt his descendant. But all she knew for sure was that she needed to free him from his current state. And so, she lets out another powerful attack, intending to give Adonai some peace, which he wanted, as he simply stood still as the attack came even closer to him. But as he closes his eyes to accept his fate, a purple hand appears to stop the arrow from landing, surprising Aquila, who clearly sees it. The parts of Adonai that had been blown away had started to form a demonic purple aura, which seems to be causing some pain to Adonai. Another demonic figure made of the poisonous aura started to rip itself from the hole that Adane had. It started to reach over his hand, before fully consuming Adane. Auman couldn't believe that he would reject the necromancy spell. With his hands in ninjutsu summoning pose, Auman now sees that legends were different, but he didn't tolerate things that are done half-heartedly, so he tells Sir Adane to fight with all he has now. Until everything that is threatening him is dead. Seeing Adane's change angered Aquila as she witnessed everything. Sir Adane lets out a demonic roar, as he is now an undead with something crazy inside of him. He continues to scream as the demonic energy takes a hold of him, sending shrieks of evil energy throughout the air. Aquila could only stare in silence as the transformation takes hold of Adane. Looking at his new transformation, she knew that the thing standing in front of her was no longer Sir Adane anymore. But as he stood in the same spot, a dark shadow started to cast itself over him. A gigantic turtle-like monster was looking down, alongside two other gigantic beasts. Auman could see the A-rank monsters that live in the forest with his eye spell, wondering if they were here because of the commotion that happened. Now we are about to see a magic trick. Now you the three A-rank monsters, now you don't. Because in an instant, this new version of Adane was able to snipe all three of the A-rank monsters in one shot, 3 headshot, triple kill. His face was showing off a wicked smile as blood and pieces of the 3 A-rank monsters dropped all around him. Aquila was surprised to see this as she couldn't even see the arrow at all. Auman was laughing after seeing that, saying that this was the full power of Adane, as he was able to kill all those monsters in one go. And so, he orders Adane to kill the woman in front of him too. He obeys Auman's command and starts to send arrows flying towards her, making her run for her life. As she ran to avoid the arrow, she could sense the strong murderous intent from those arrows. Every time she was hit by an attack, the madam's poison spreads and makes her body feel sluggish. As she drew her bow for a counterattack, she knew she had to finish this fight quickly. Drawing 2 arrows at once, she sends an attack that splits and targets the sides of Adane. As he dodges one of them, the other arrow is sent flying directly towards him. As the arrow was just barely inches away from him, he raised a single finger, creating a small demonic shield in front of the arrow. It started to spin, grinding the arrow into pieces until there was nothing left. As Aquila stares at him, she starts to smile as her attack doesn't end there as more arrows appear in the sky. Her attacks finally work as one of the arrows pierces through his neck. Aquila quotes a phrase, "The first arrow misses but the second one hits the target." However, the moment your opponent blocks the second arrow, the first missed arrow returns and penetrates the back of their head. She tells him that this was a skill where the arrow is at maximum rotation and flies in midair. Upon reaching its peak, it returns and hits the opponent. This was Aquila's personal arrow skill that she created after hearing about Adane's fight against an Imperial Knight. The arrow continues to linger in his throat before he pulls it swiftly. Much to the surprise of Aquila, who expected him to die after being shot in the throat. Auman continues to laugh at her, telling her that no matter how strong she is, she had never fought against a corpse before. He continues to tell her that Sir Adane was already dead, so he wouldn't be defeated by a single arrow to the throat. As they continued to battle it out, the effects of their battle could be seen by Ayan as she watches over her mother. Her face was filled with concern as she thought her. She could also feel that the forest was shaking, making it ominous. She hopes that her mother could wait until Vikir resolves this, as she recalls him telling to hide. And that he will stop Auman's necromancy skill and kill him. As Vikir runs through the forest, he knows that Auman feared Aquila very much. So it was highly likely that he was hiding behind Adane in order to go against Aquila. Soon enough, his red eye catches something. Vikir had finally found Auman, hiding behind a tree like the sneaky bastard he is. So our boy immediately makes his way over to the coward's side as he plans on killing him in one hit. As he closes in onto the coward, a wild ancestor appears by his side, aiming to kick Vikir. Her attack lands but not before Vikir was able to leap away safely. Auman spots him and curses at him, revealing to Vikir that he had already predicted that someone would come after him, so he had already summoned his Death Knights. He informs Vikir that these Death Knights were skilled enough that they could have been buried at the warrior's grave. As Vikir stood in the same spot, all 3 of the Death Knights lunged towards him from all sides. We now turn back to Aquila, who had been shot by an arrow that completely obliterated her side, causing her face to wince in pain as she finally falls and kneels in front of Adane. Seeing her this way, Auman started to laugh like a maniac, happy to see that she had finally kneeled. He continues to rejoice over the fact that soon, the guardian of the forest, Aquila, will die. And that he will rule the forest. As this was his reward for the unfair treatment that he had received in his life. He declares that his first step is to kill all the clan members who look down on him, but then the Hound of Baskerville appears, telling him in a deadly voice that what he plans on doing would be troublesome. Vikir has finally unleashed the Baskerville sixth technique as he slices the 3 Death Knights while telling Auman that the people of this forest will become his support system. Auman's mouth was left wide open as he saw that Vikir had killed 3 of the Death Knights, who surpassed the level of a high-ranked graduator, making him realize that Vikir was stronger than a high-ranked graduator. As Vikir looks at the dead man, he questions Auman if he had dreamt of everything he desired at that moment. Feeling that death was close, Auman started to call out to Sir Adonai to rescue him. Adonai hears his call for help and immediately turns around, preparing to unleash a powerful attack towards Vikir's location. But Aquila isn't an NPC, so she immediately kicks him as he prepares the attack, causing the arrow that Adonai had just sent flying to misfire as the arrow narrowly misses Vikir. Play the funeral music as someone is about to die as our boy's face starts to change into the demonic Hound, making us know why he is called the Hound of Baskerville. Auman could see death coming to him in the shape of Vikir, so he calls out to Adonai to fire again, but the moment those words left his mouth, so did his arms as they were cut off in an instant. It happened so fast that Auman took a moment before realizing what happened. Even I didn't realize that Vikir had cut off the panel as well. But his attacks don't stop as he finally cuts off Auman's head, along with the panel as well. As his head was sent flying, Auman could only show a confused face with the word "huh?" written all over it. Time to celebrate as the asshole is finally dead.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.